Hello everyone, welcome to lesson 3 of Temzula Ao's Laburnum for My Head. Refresh your memory. After the death of her husband, while visiting the cemetery for the last rituals, Lentina had a wonderful idea. She doesn't want to erect concrete tombstones when she dies. Instead, she would plant a laburnum tree by the side of her grave. To realize this desire, she decided to ask the help of her driver, Babu. So, from here, let us move on to para 10. So Lentina is planning to plant a laburnum tree by the side of her grave. So she asks the help of Babu, her driver. Next morning, she called Babu, and together they went to the cemetery. It was not just the visit of a widow to her husband's grave. Lentina's purpose of visit was to find a suitable spot where she would be buried. After searching for a while, she found a suitable spot in the southernmost corner of the cemetery. Babu was watching the strange behavior of his mistress. He thought that she was losing her mind, just like her children thought. Finally, Lentina called Babu and pointed out to him the space and said, "This is my spot. I want to be buried here when my time comes." Let us move on. Para 11, 12 and 13. Babu was really surprised at Lentina's announcement. He reminded her that her spot is already reserved near to her husband. To this, she replied that spot can be used by whichever son who dies first. Then she told Babu to make arrangements in the town committee to reserve the spot for her. Babu's son-in-law was an officer in that office. She also reminded him not to say a word about this at her home. Babu understood that she was very serious about it and agreed that he will make arrangements for what she ordered. Lentina insisted that Babu's son-in-law should not talk about this matter even to his wife. Thus, from that day onwards, Lentina started planning her next move, that is, planting a laburnum at her gravesite while she was alive. She will need Babu's help for everything. It was winter. In order to plant, they should wait until next spring. Para 14. Meanwhile, Babu discussed with his son-in-law about reserving a plot in the cemetery. As Babu didn't give much details, his son-in-law was surprised why Babu needs plot in the cemetery. The son-in-law had some inquiries and replied that the spot selected was a least wanted spot in that cemetery. Most people preferred the front row. This spot, which Babu wanted to apply, was not of much demand, so there won't be any problem in getting that spot. An official request should be submitted, he said. After submitting the application, about submitting the application, she was a bit confused whether she should sign it or keep her identity in secret. Once she had a discussion with her husband about buying lands. Her husband said that while buying a spot, it will be good to buy less attractive ones which will attract attention later. Her husband said that while buying a spot, it will be good to buy less attractive ones which will attract attention later. So, considering the opinion of her husband regarding buying land, she had a rethinking about her plan to buy the plot in the cemetery. She visited the cemetery again with Babu. They walked along the wall examining. She told him to examine in which direction the cemetery will expand in the near future. She thought of buying a spot in that direction. Babu found that land close to the southern boundary, which will be acquired for cemetery very soon. But Babu was confused why she should buy the land close to the cemetery. She replied that time will answer his question. So today's lesson tells about how Lentina plans to get a plot in the cemetery for her burial. She entrusted the job with Babu, her driver. Babu's son-in-law was working in the town office. Then, remembering the opinion once given to her by her husband, she plans to buy a land near to the cemetery, to which direction the cemetery may expand in near future. So, as a continuation from the previous lessons, Lentina, this lesson tells about Lentina's attempts to buy an area, a spot for her burial, and her plan is to plant a laburnum tree beside her grave. So in order to realize this desire, she is now trying to acquire a land which is very close to the cemetery. She expects that the cemetery will be expanded to that area very soon. So as per the rules of real estate, as per the suggestion of her husband, she decides to buy that land. So we are stopping here. Thank you.